UNTAMED TV. UNTAMED. UNTAMED.
All right, folks, it's Farrell with Untamed TV. I am here with Holly Stokes, the brain trainer. Is that correct?
Yep.
And what exactly is a brain trainer?
Yeah, I help people change their brain out of the habits, negative thinking, self-criticism, feeling down.
I'm
poor
good at all
mood,
those things.
Self-sabotage.
Yes, that too.
Yep. And help train it into the positive things that you want it to do for you.
So how does it work? I mean, because like, you know, when you're a kid and you're doing something wrong, your mom comes and smacks you. Knock it off. Do you kind of do the same thing? I mean, quit thinking like that.
Well, that could work as we call a pattern interrupt. No, I call it the kinder, gentler path to personal change. So even though we know we want to make a change, it's like part of us wants to and part of us doesn't. Thinking about like a diet or healthy eating. I know I should be eating XYZ, but then I'm just craving these cookies. And so we kind of get caught up in this battle between these parts of our mind or ourself. So it's more of a system of understanding what the mind is doing at the different layers and bringing that on board with that conscious goal.
Because I always say, man, I need to lose weight, but it's easier to be fat and complain about it than it is to actually do something about it, you know?
And I think part of that is because the way that America has done weight loss is really, really hard, right?
Yeah.
We have to make ourselves do it. And then, this is the goal setting cycle. So we pick the goal, I want to lose X number of pounds. And then we might be really motivated for a week and another little bit goes by. We start procrastinating. I'll make it up on the weekend. Finally, we lose momentum, right? And then we take that goal and we tuck it into the graveyard with all of the goals of the past. But then, this is not the end of the cycle. Then we berate ourselves. Oh, I'm just lazy, undisciplined. Why can't I just stay on track, right?
Yeah.
But then the next time we go to set a goal, here come these visitations from the ghosts of goals past.
the spirit.
You're lazy.
Yeah.
Undisciplined. I've heard this one before. What makes you think you'll do it this time? So part of the way that we're doing weight loss in America is not working. In fact, a research study out of Stanford showed that 96% of dieters that lost weight gained it all back plus more within 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And weight loss industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but we're not having the results because it's not just about that conscious goal setting and then making ourselves do it. There's layers to how we operate. There's layers to our motivation on what we do and what we follow through and on what we don't do.
I'm a lot of don't doing.
It's good to have priorities.
Well,
if you have your priorities around what you don't do, that's a good start.
So how does it work? Then how do you, I guess back to the original question, how do you train your brain? What's the technique? How does it
Yeah, well, there are
function?
several different processes that can help. Kind of an easy process that I can walk you through really quickly.
We can try, for sure.
Okay. And it's understanding how the brain codes information and how we can use that code to help it make the update or make the change.
Okay.
So for this exercise,
Here we go.
it comes from the field of NLP. It's not going to hurt, trust me.
NLP?
NLP,
And that is?
neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay.
So neuro refers to neurons in our brain, linguistic or language patterns, and programming refers to the past history of what our brain has picked up through our experience, kind of like the programs on a computer,
Okay.
what your brain is running. So for this example, think about a food that you crave.
Chips.
Okay, chips is a great example.
Okay.
So think of a bowl of chips right in front of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how tempted would you be to eat the chips?
10. Even if you were standing here, I would just start eating them. I wouldn't even think about
Okay.
it.
So notice how you represent this in your mind. So notice that picture of the chips. Is it in color?
Yeah. Well, the bag of chips is in color. I don't know if anything else
Bag of
is.
chips. Okay. So go ahead and imagine opening the bag of chips.
Okay.
And notice that bag of chips, is it also three-dimensional?
Yeah?
Yeah. And where is it in space? If you could point to it,
It's like right here.
right within arm's reach.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now imagine pulling out a chip
Okay.
and biting into the chip, start chewing it. It's that good flavor, but there's something wrong. Oh, it's gritty. It's like there's sand in your chips. Oh, spit it out, puh. Okay, now looking back at the bag of chips, scale of 1 to 10, how tempted would you be to eat the chips now?
Because they're gross, I would probably not eat them at all.
Okay, it may or may not have changed for you, right?
Yeah.
So notice the color. Imagine draining the color out of that image.
Okay.
So it's shades of gray.
Okay.
And notice, scale of 1 to 10, how tempted are you now?
Yeah, it's not nearly as appealing. It's not like,
Yeah, not as compelling,
Yeah.
right? And now imagine putting a frame around the chips and making it a flat picture. So it's just like a picture with a frame around it. Notice, how compelling is it now?
it's just a picture. There's nothing there to eat.
Yeah, so it has no pull,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So notice now, take that picture and just send it out 20 feet away from you. Just sending it out to the far corner. I know, how do you feel about it now?
Now I'm too lazy to get up and walk over there and eat the chips.
So that's a very quick example of how our mind codes things that we see in life. And there are certain ways that we can tap into that. Now, this is a really simplistic example, but there are certain themes that are consistent. So typically for foods, when we crave something, we see it right out in front of us. So if you crave something, you can actually move that picture out of the way and it'll take the edge off of that craving. Another aspect of this is typically when we crave foods, we see them in color and 3 dimensions. So you can drain the color out, which takes off the edge of that compellingness. You can also shrink the image or make it flat rather than 3-dimensional. So this is the tip of the iceberg.
Jeez.
Everything in our life is kind of stored in our mind within this coding system. And think about what we're motivated to do and not motivated to do. A lot of times we think of motivation as either on or off, but it's more like a continuum. For any activity, we have some scale of 1 to 10, we have some degree of motivation. And by understanding our thoughts and feelings associated with the things in life, we can recognize that motivation level and adjust it to where we want it to be.
I was going to say, how would that work with, like, for instance, because when I get bored, I eat. I don't necessarily eat because I'm hungry. I'm bored. I have nothing else I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Like at work. I mean, if my boss is watching this, I'm constantly working hard. But, sometimes there comes a lull in the action and I want to eat.
Right. So part of cravings, there is an emotional component behind cravings. And this is something that we're starting to see now more in the media and the awareness of this emotional component. Kind of at the simplest level, we're using food for different reasons in our life. If we're using it in an unhealthy way, there's different things that we're attaching to what food is. So yeah, entertainment, getting out of bored, having something to do. I've noticed this theme with my clients. So when they feel frustrated or stressed, having something to crunch on kind of gets that feeling of taking out the stress on the chips.
A de-stressor.
Yeah, kind of a de-stressor. Or look at the other foods that we crave, like sugar. Sugars represent comfort. Sugars represent reward.
Happiness. Yes.
I hear all the time, chocolate means happiness.
Yeah. So how does that work? Like, for instance, like someone wanted to quit smoking or something like that. I mean, is it kind of the same idea? I mean...
Yeah, the principles are the same, even though, the compulsion has changed, cigarettes versus foods. But the underlying principles about why we want it, that compulsion, is really the same. So in smoking, we know that it's not the physical addiction to nicotine that keeps people coming back. Because I often hear people who have quit for 3 months, but then something happens in life and suddenly they have this compelling need for a cigarette. You can relate.
Well, off subject, I quit smoking 8 years ago. And when I stopped smoking, I was and I wear this like a badge of honor. I was 3 months into quitting smoking, and my mom had died. And everybody in my family smoked. So now when I hear people say, "Oh, I was going to quit smoking, but I was just so stressed out," and I'm like, so was I, but I wanted to not smoke anymore. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense at all?
Right.
Because I knew if I started smoking again, I was going to be disappointed in myself, and I was going to be upset, and then I'd have to, all that time that I have into quitting is null and void now, and I've got to go back to.
Right. So that's great that you were able to make that choice and quit. And part of it, we kind of look at, what's the tipping point? You have all of these reasons. A lot of smokers, they know it's bad, right? And now there's a lot of social pressure to quit. So consciously, we know what we want to do, but it's what the mind is holding on to in the back of the mind, in the background, that makes that attachment to smoking continue, or that makes it a compulsion.
There's nothing better than a cigarette after you eat. You got to smoke when you drive. There's so many things that are involved with it. You know what I mean?
We call those triggers, the cues in life that tell your mind when to run that craving or that compulsion. We see the same thing with cues with food, like when are the times that you're eating? Oh, when I'm alone at night, the freezer is just calling that ice cream. I can hear it calling my name. Get out the tub.
So you also do hypnotherapy, correct?
Yes.
And that's like because there's so many funny things about hypnosis people think. And so if I don't want to come off cheesy here, but I know I'm going to. When you hypnotize somebody, they put them in a hypnotic state, and you say, "You're going to stop doing this," and magically you don't do it anymore.
Well, that's
how I always thought it worked.
Sure. And we get that image because of what we see on stage. So hypnotherapy is different than stage shows. So typically what happens on stage shows, they call a bunch of people up to the stage. They run through confusion patterns, trying to confuse the mind. And the people who look for direction to the hypnotist, they go into a relaxed frame of mind and look to the hypnotist. Those are the ones they keep on stage. The rest of them they send back to their seats. Oh, these people can't be hypnotized. Well, not many people actually go into a relaxed frame of mind through confusion. So we don't do what the stage shows do. Hypnotherapy, we use relaxation and focus techniques. We don't want to confuse people. We don't want people to not remember. We're really looking to create that frame of mind where both your conscious mind, the active planning, goal-setting mind, and the deeper mind that runs those automatic programs can kind of communicate in the middle. So it can feel like a meditative state, feels very similar to that. Or if you've ever missed a freeway exit driving in your car.
Well, you're just cruising. Your mind
kind of just wanders somewhere else.
I'm driving to Tremont. Next thing I'm in Boise.
Yeah. Right. But you're aware and awake through the whole process in hypnotherapy. And also we can record the session. So the benefit of having a recording of your session is that each time you listen to it, your mind will continue to integrate it into kind of deeper levels of the mind.
So the Brain Trainer, do you have a website, a Facebook page? How can people get a hold of you?
Yep. So Facebook, The Brain Trainer LLC, and website is thebraintrainerllc.com.
Just that simple? They can get a hold of you and
then
you can hypnotize them.
Well, we start with a first assessment, and then depending on what your challenge is, we customize the program to fit what's going on for you. So some processes actually work better with neuro-linguistic programming, some actually work better with hypnosis. And then the life coaching piece is about, okay, here's where you are in life, here's where you want to go, let's identify the steps along the way and give you the tools you need to get there.
So, like you said, negative thinking and diet, and what other things could people come for you to help them with? Yeah.
So the general overview is anything that your mind is doing automatically, we can help your mind learn its way out of that pattern. Several different processes that assist with that. But that's kind of the simplest explanation. So more specifically then, we can help the mind change cravings, help the mind change habits or break old ones, clear mental blocks. Sometimes there's even resistance in the background that we don't notice. Why can't I just make myself do it? Change procrastination, change motivation, confidence or lack of confidence, boost self-image, create
It sounds like I
focus.
need to go see this lady. Every negative thing she's named off, I'm an expert at.
Come on in.
So the Brain Trainer LLC on Facebook and on the internet as well.
And the braintrainerllc.com.
So make sure you get on there. Come see my friend Holly, and she will help you out.
Untamed. TV. Untamed. Untamed.